Seriously, what happened?
Really, this is how I'm going to preface what we're going through right now. If you guys, for the last time this season, if you guys don't have John Kitna in your lineups, we'll help you make a better lineup next time. Have a good night. Kitna.
6 minutes.
IRN USA Radio News. I'm Richard Stewart. Residents of the northeastern United States on Wednesday dug out from a deadly winter storm that dumped more than 15 inches of snow in some places, with frigid temperatures forcing school closings and extensive flight delays and cancellations. At least 2 deaths were blamed on the weather, which made roads treacherous. Israel said on Wednesday it had arrested 2 Palestinians from East Jerusalem who were planning to carry out attacks for al-Qaeda, including on the U.S. Embassy, with the help of foreign suicide bombers posing as Russian tourists. The men were recruited by another al-Qaeda agent in the Gaza Strip, said Israel's Shin Bet intelligence agency. Thousands of U.S. pro-life activists braved frigid temperatures to rally at the annual March for Life on Wednesday, and a top Republican lawmaker vowed that the House of Representatives would vote soon to end taxpayer-funded abortions. This is IRN USA News.
Granite Law is a law firm with partners in each state we do business. Our initial consultation is free. Granite Law is not licensed in all states.
Are you struggling to make your mortgage payments? Facing foreclosure? Trying to refinance or modify your home loan but have been turned down? Afraid you'll lose your home? There is a way out. The Obama administration has announced a government relief program called the Home Affordability and Stability Plan, funded by the Housing and Economic Recovery Act. It's designed to save 9 million homes from foreclosure, and there's a good chance you qualify.
We were 3 months behind on our payments, and the National Mortgage Helpline was able to get our mortgage company to take the payments we were behind, put them on the back of our loan, and lower our interest rate. Now we have a payment we can afford.
Here's your chance to take advantage of this government-funded program that's sweeping the nation. Stop foreclosure proceedings, forgive late payments and penalties, convert your adjustable rate to fixed, and reduce it to as low as 2%. Even reduce or eliminate past due payments. Simply call the Mortgage Hotline now at 800-307-4505. Call for your free no-obligation consultation. 800-307-4505. That's 800-307-4505.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry on Wednesday left the door open for Iran to participate in Syrian peace talks, saying Tehran could make a difference in ending the conflict. The talks were thrown into disarray before they began when UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon invited Iran to join the conference, but withdrew the offer after Tehran refused to endorse the principles of an earlier 2012 peace plan. Reports of shots being fired at the University of Oklahoma on Wednesday turned out to be false, and no evidence has been found of a weapon being discharged on campus. University President David Boren told reporters the university issued an alert of a shooting on campus a little before noon local time and told students to
I'm so tired of hearing about that stuff.
Later,
All right, guys, 3 minutes.
No evidence of shots being fired. Target Corporation said on Wednesday that it is cutting 475 jobs at its headquarters and other offices in Minnesota and will not fill 700 open positions worldwide. This is IRN USA.
You guys are unusually silent.
Some guy discovered shots. He read everything about blood cells and viral antibodies.
Okay, usually I hear you chat.
People with this and they don't get
Want to make sure you're there.
And everyone was like, great, stab me. That guy was an expert. Experts are the best because they tell everyone what they know, and then not everyone has to be an expert. Like with the new healthcare law. You don't have to be an expert on that because TurboTax is. They studied it, broke it down, and simplified it. So now you can do your own taxes. Smallpox free. Intuit TurboTax. It's amazing what you're capable of.
A CNN crew has come under attack. We get more on this story from correspondent Jason Wirt.
A CNN reporter and his crew were attacked by Chinese security when they tried to report on the trial of a high-profile Chinese activist. CNN's Beijing correspondent David McKenzie was kicked, pushed, and punched by Chinese security forces before they forced him into a nearby van. McKenzie was trying to report on the trial of Zhu Xingyang, who led a series of protests against government corruption. IRN USA Radio News, I'm Jason Wirt.
As many as 6,000 children in Central African Republic have been recruited by armed groups and forced to commit atrocities along religious lines in a conflict that is at high risk of spiraling into genocide, UN envoy said on Wednesday. More than half the landlocked state's 4.6 million people need assistance, and nearly 1 million have fled their homes after mostly Muslim Seleka rebels seized power in a March coup d'etat that ousted former President Francois Bozize. Men who participated in a community fitness program for obese fathers lost weight and increased their activity levels in a new study from Australia. The researchers' main goal was to test the Healthy Dads, Healthy Kids program in a real-world setting to see if it helped reduce obesity among the men participating, with the hope it would improve the eating habits and activity levels of their children, too. I'm Richard Stewart, and you've been listening to IRN USA News.
When you struggle with credit card bills every month, you're
One.
not just in debt. Debt is all around you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly payment that you can afford.
You do get to consolidate your payments. You only have to worry about making one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4 or 5.
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063, 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063, 800-957-6063.
You're hot.
All right, welcome to the show, World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. What's this stuff you're doing here?
Just little blazing guns,
Little
you know.
blazing- oh,
a couple
dear.
fellas on the West Coast firing away here. We got a big show tonight, Nick.
Man,
I
what a
think-
show tonight, Danny.
I think it was hard not to be kind of giddy over the final 15 minutes of that Capital One Cup final today. Wasn't it just absolutely brilliant drama over the final
Absolutely.
dozen minutes?
No, it really was. And, we poo-poo the
Poo-poo,
Capital
doing
One
poo-poo,
Cup
right.
and have done. But,
it was great.
but what an exciting semi-final we had, and who'd have thunk it's Sunderland that is going to get slaughtered now by Man City at Wembley.
And let's talk about, with you guys as well, the implications of the Capital One Cup, what it means to the smaller clubs. I mean, look at Swansea and Bradford last year. Look at Liverpool winning it just a couple of years ago.
Small club.
I knew that was going to
Small
happen.
club,
That's
Danny,
not what
small
I
club.
meant.
That is
but
what you
but
meant,
you
but that's
understand. It's an important competition. We're going to talk about it tonight on the show.
All right, so we're going to talk about that. We're, of course, going to talk about Juan Mata going to
what a
Chelsea,
deal.
going to Man United from Chelsea. We're going to talk about Wayne Rooney, who wants to leave Man United. We're going to talk about the Capital One Cup. Man, we got so much to get to today. It's absolutely crazy. 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY if you'd like to chime in or call us in studio. That's how you do it. Or you can find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. By the way, big day for us today, Danny.
Yes.
It's the first day we are streaming live on YouTube.
I thought you were going to say you finally were receiving Social Security checks and that was the...
No, that's next week, though. But we'll celebrate that
You know,
separately.
one thing I think we should talk about with Mata today is this could really ignite a fun transfer market.
Absolutely.
And that's what
'cause
I'm excited.
It's been pretty boring
It's
up till
been
now.
awful.
Let's be
It's
honest.
been awful.
All right, 800-878-PLAY, Twitter at World Soccer Radio.
Yes.
By the way, big hello to our men and women in uniform listening around the world on American Forces Radio. Of course, we welcome you to the show if you're listening to one of the affiliate stations of the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Also, of course, if you're watching us on iHeartRadio or listening to us on iHeartRadio or iTunes or Watch WSR, which is now our YouTube feed. It's wonderful to be with you. We are thrilled. And also today, we're going to break an exclusive, Danny. We've
What's
got a
that?
phone call between Jose Mourinho and David Moyes. You're going to want to hear this because this is some big stuff. This is
I
in
can
the,
smell the sarcasm.
it's an
I can
exclusive
feel it.
phone call in the wake of the defeat at Stamford Bridge. Stay with us here, folks.
Tom
You're gonna
Dart,
get to
by
hear
the
it.
way. Tom
Of
Dart,
course.
Guardian contributor, NBC sports writer in the past, Sports Illustrated. He's going to join us on the show as well to talk about just this incredible day in world football.
Right, we're going to get all of that into about an hour in the show. So we're going to be jam-packed for you today.
We're going to need to talk really, really quickly.
And we're not even going to get to the Dieudonné mess. All right, we'll be right back after this on World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA.
Okay. as you gather in the
All right. I say that every time we come in from that, Danny.
You do every
All right.
time.
It kind of feels like you have to. All right, welcome to the show, folks. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Nick Eber and Danny Page with you.
Yeah.
And needless to say, we got a whopper of a show and lots to talk about.
A whopper, huh?
A whopper.
A humdinger.
A whopper, as a Spanish manager might say. A whopper of a show. I almost don't know where to start, Danny, because today, of course, Capital One Cup. The Man United go out at Old Trafford. Now, I actually thought, Danny, that Man United would get it done at Old Trafford.
Well, I think they got their early goal. That was obviously really important for them. But let me say this. You're watching this match into extra time, and in the 115th minute, when it's 2-2 and United are going through, you're still watching, you're saying, this was a great football match. And we hadn't even hit the real drama. You know, we hadn't even hit. I can't remember a final, 2 minutes of extra time.
Right.
And subsequent penalty kicks that have had that much drama since, honestly, I'm going to go all the way back to, say, in Uruguay-Ghana. I mean, that was an incredible final couple
You know what's great is when Chicharito scored that goal, they panned to him.
Are we talking about the United's third goal to make it 3-3 on aggregate and put us through to penalties?
3-3 on aggregate, right.
We're already jumping ahead.
But
of the absolute howler by De Gea. Though.
Yeah, I know.
You can't forget that.
But I want to go through. I want to go to this goal. So he scores the goal. Camera pans on him, and he is barely able to stay on his feet. He is so exhausted. And I looked at this, and I thought, I think this is really bad for United.
We got to talk about the match today, though, Nick. I know you want to jump ahead and say what's bad for United.
No. No, I was looking at that saying, I don't think this is going to be nearly as in their favor as it would otherwise.
No, I agree with you. But, I mean, as far as the match today, I think one of the things we've done is we've looked at United's team and said, I mean, you have Rooney and Van Persie that are world-class players, and you have David De Gea. What a blunder in a key, crucial moment. They were through. They were absolutely, unquestionably through.
Yeah.
That was appalling. That was absolutely appalling. And the way they took their penalties was so incredibly poor. I mean,
no, they were terrible penalties. I mean, they were penalties taken by people that were just absolutely exhausted.
How does that happen?
Unable to stay on.
How does that happen? You're right. I guess you're right. Because you can't really stay on the field. They're exhausted.
It's an inevitability. I mean, that's what happens.
Right. I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, you are Manchester United. You have to be able to put a product out there.
Well, that's right. At home, Danny. At home.
And really, I think that the criticism lies in them being unable to close up shop. How would a Ferguson United team have approached those last 5 minutes? And I know they got the goal to send it to penalties. How would a Ferguson United team have approached those final few minutes? And different in the way that a David Moyes team did, Nick. I mean, would they have?
Yeah, that's really that's such a great question, and I think that's the question, Danny, that everybody's asking that really no one can answer, which is what exactly is the difference? Because these are essentially the same players. I can't fault United for their effort. I mean, they came back strong. Chicharito gets that goal, but I'm not so sure that it's what Alex Ferguson would have done. I think some of the difference is the belief that Sunderland had going to Old Trafford, that they could get a result. And this is the difference. I mean, if you looked at the team under Alex Ferguson, when they were in those situations before, the opposition teams almost kind of sat back and said, oh, yeah, here it goes. Here we go.
So I think the first thing you can say is that the 2-1 away defeat, isn't that different than what we would have seen from a United team in the past few years?
Right.
But the difference is, after the first goal, it would have been 2-3 and 4-0, game over by the hour mark.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah, right.
What do you think?
But even if it had gone tight, when it went to extra time and Chicharito scored, okay? I mean, before it went to extra time, when Chicharito scores the late goal to tie it up, okay?
That sends it to penalties.
To send it to penalties, right. To send it to penalties. it's almost like it would seem with Alex Ferguson at the helm that it's an inevitability. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And then you've got these blunders. You've got weak penalties all the way along. I mean, Sunderland started off with the miss.
They missed
and
two.
then I thought, that's it.
They missed two.
But
They missed
it was so appalling. And then for Januzaj, who had the great cross for the goal that kind of got them back into it, to just put through an awful penalty. I mean, awful stuff.
It was atrocious. It really
was.
was.
It was, but they were
Januzaj.
exhausted. I mean, I'm not going to say that this was, that this was disastrous. I'm not going to say that in some ways this is, Man United self. That's just two teams that just fought each other to a standstill. But Danny, we're talking about Man United fighting Sunderland, the team that is the current
this has
champion.
happened before.
The team that is the bottom of the table.
This has happened before, though, and it's happened recently. The Football Association Cup was won by Wigan Athletic with a late goal against mighty Manchester City.
Right.
Okay? What is it lately, do you think, about struggling clubs? We seem to a lot find a struggling club that goes on a deep cup run.
Yeah.
Do they have this feeling that in some ways the league campaign is lost and that is their
Well,
opportunity to push?
All I can tell you, Danny, is that I think Gus Poyet should be going to Roberto Martinez, before the final against Man City, saying, "Hey, Roberto, can you hand me that piece of paper?"
What was the story that you had
because
when Martinez went into
when he went to
Bill
see
Kenwright's
when
office?
he went to Bill Kenwright and he gave his interview and he said, "I have in my pocket."
You're not Jose Mourinho.
Speaking of that, we're going to say, do we have time to hear from Jose this segment, or are we going to do that?
No, we only have 4 minutes left.
So we'll do that when we come back.
Yeah, we'll do it.
No, I mean, when he went to see Bill Kenwright, he said, "I guarantee you Champions League football." And by the way, it's looking like he's going to make a claim for that. And he said, "I have in my pocket the game plan to beat Manchester City."
Right.
Yeah,
the
here it
game
is.
plan to beat
Now,
Man City.
the question I would have said is, well, why didn't you take that game plan and stop Wigan from getting relegated? But that's a separate matter.
They did go up against City, too, at the Etihad this year.
I
You
know.
remember? City
Yeah.
came back to win.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously. But
anyway,
he
so
does have City's number.
So is Gus Poyet going to go and ask for that piece of paper? Because he's going to need it. Because right now, Man City, they're looking like an unstoppable roller coaster.
The thing about these matches, too, is wouldn't you just love to see Sunderland win this? I like City.
They are almost Wigan.
I like City because I like the way they do things.
Sunderland almost Wigan, Danny.
I think Sunderland are going to stay up.
Are they going to stay up? That's the question. Because, I mean, they're going to mirror the Wigan, except they're not going to beat Man City this time around.
You know what else I want to see? Just for the confidence going, I want to see Josie Altidore score a big goal.
Well,
I will be watching this match.
He was not great today.
He was not good again. He was
not,
poor
and he's
again.
a good player. I just, it sucks for me to watch it because I want him to do well. I watch him and I want him to do well, and he's just not. I don't know what it is. It's the system, obviously, that's not working for him. He's not getting great service up there.
No, I know.
And then so he has to use just his incredible strength and size, and that makes him look like a blunderbuss.
I know
rather
the
than a
feeling
skilled
you're
player.
wanting to communicate. You're watching him, and you want him so well to have the right touch, and you want him so much to put a shot on frame, and it's just not there. It's
By the
just
way,
not there.
I mean, it is interesting, the mirror between Sunderland and Wigan of last season.
You think it's that close?
Well, but they're not going to beat Man City. I mean, I'm going to tell you that right now. I mean, there's no way they're going to beat Man City. Man City are, I want to use the word superb. And by the way, I am really warming in a huge way to Manuel Pellegrino.
Pellegrini. This isn't sparkling Italian water.
It's a Vespa.
Water.
It's a scooter. It's some sort of drink, and he's Chilean with a little sea bass.
Yeah,
I don't know. But look, I'm really warming to him. I think he's
he's going to want to.
He learned his lesson.
He's
early.
going to want to win a trophy as soon as he can to get the monkey off his back. By the way, it works out well. City were supposed to play United that weekend, and that match is now moved. The other side of their games, their matches, Nick, the other side of the League Cup final are Stoke City home, Aston Villa home. He might be able to rest players a little bit.
I'm sorry. Edward Hart is at Twitter, Idaho United. says, I've seen dog turds of more use than Josie Altidore
Hey, that's
on that
mean.
Sunderland side.
That's mean.
And that is a little
Okay.
unfortunate, but he is useless. I mean, and he's not a useless player.
Yeah.
He's not a useless player. It's not working for him there.
It's not working.
No,
right now.
absolutely.
I love Josie though. I'm not sure why, but I'm a fan. You keep up the good work, Josie.
Oh dear.
How
All
many
right.
goals does
By
he
the
have?
way,
Does he
you
have one
can
goal?
you can tweet to us at World Soccer Radio. You
By
can
the
see
way,
it right there. Yep.
that's the U.S. record transfer.
I know.
It's like $15 million. Now I'm depressed, man.
All right. When we come back, folks.
Jose, we're gonna hear from Jose.
Well, we're going to hear from Jose. We're going to hear from Tom Dalt. We're going to talk about Juan Mata to Manchester United, and we're going to say why. Oh, we got so much to get to.
Juan Mata.
800-878-PLAY, Twitter at World Soccer Radio. This is World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. I'm Nick, he's Danny, and you're you, and we'll be right back.
Booyah.
After this. All right, now that is Nirvana.
Yeah, it is.
Now that I know is Nirvana. All right.
That is.
Welcome back to the show. A little quiet, but nevertheless. Anyway, welcome back to the show, World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA. Mellow.
Sorry, I'm going to let you finish.
Go ahead.
It's Nirvana Unplugged in New York. The famous album they did before Kurt Cobain died.
Okay.
Maybe this is the studio cut, but the oh my gosh, unbelievable. Speaking of
This is the studio.
Speaking of
Oh, it's the studio
unbelievable,
version. There we go.
all right, everybody, as you mentioned, Nick. Sorry, I rudely cut you off there. It was very British of me. Follow us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. Also, watch us on YouTube. Just head to our direct link, watchwsr.com. That's watchwsr.com, or follow us on YouTube World Soccer
And by the way,
Radio.
today is our inaugural YouTube Live show, so we're very happy about it because we have a whopper of a day in football to talk
Whopper.
about. A whopper of a day.
I love what you said.
Okay, so but before we get to anything, why don't you read this tweet?
Let me read this
We got
tweet
a
from
great-
Zach Wassink,
Yeah.
who we have on the show from time to time. He's from Cleveland. He says, I'm not saying they're desperate, but the hashtag Browns, the Cleveland Browns, just asked to interview David Moyes for their head coach.
Oh, this is so sad. You know, I feel so bad for David Moyes because
No, I feel bad for the Browns that they would be put in the same
because you know I have gone back and forth with people about this, and I had a huge Twitter war over the weekend with someone that was accusing me of all these things that I wasn't and that I'm not. I'm not a David Moyes hater. In fact, I have had opportunity to meet David Moyes on many occasions.
Did
He
you
was
give him
one
a
of-
back massage?
No, I did. He needs it though. He needs it. He
Yeah,
was
he
one of the
does.
very first Premier League managers when we were doing World Soccer Daily way back in 2001. You know, that actually took the
That's a long
time
time
to
ago.
care about the American market, and we had him on the show on a regular basis, and we would have
Right, I
chats
do
with him
remember
outside.
that, yeah.
Terrific, lovely, lovely guy, and I watch him, and I watch the stress lines in his face, and he's visibly aged 20 years since he took this job. And in fact, if his nose swells up and he gets into a little bit more wine, he's going to start to look like Sir Alex Ferguson.
Well, he did everything right today, really, in a lot of ways. What did he do wrong? His goalkeeper
I
had the howler of a career to close the match, and then the players he put out on penalties were an abject disaster.
Right. Well, Danny, you know, I mentioned this earlier that we did have a situation now where we were lucky enough to have intercepted a phone call between Jose Mourinho and David Moyes that happened
You're
after
such a weird guy. You know?
After last weekend's disaster.
This is
at the
funny.
bridge.
It is good.
So we want to share this for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Here we go. This is what really happened after Man United lost at the bridge.
I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Jose Mourinho.
Hello, David Moyes phone.
Moisey, it's Jose. Where are you, my friend?
Where do you think, Jose? I'm on the bus home.
I'm not happy with you, Moisey.
You're not happy with me? Oh, that's rich, Jose. I mean, you just won the match.
Well, Moisey, I might have won the match, but I asked you to come to my office afterwards.
Oh, well, look, I wasn't really in the mood to talk to anybody, especially you.
Listen very carefully, Moisey. What is this?
It's the sound of you opening a wine bottle. Well done.
Not just any bottle of wine, Moisey. It's my finest Quinto de Vale Mayo Portuguese wine I was saving for my 100th Premier League win with Chelsea.
Congratulations.
And I wanted to celebrate and share this special moment and this special wine with a man I respect as my equal.
You're equal? Really?
Yes, Moisey. You could have been here to witness this celebration firsthand.
Oh.
Two giants of football together in the one room sharing their ingenious thoughts about this crazy game we call football.
Well, now that you put it like that,
Mm-hmm.
I must say I'm flattered and I regret not accepting your invitation, Jose. To be honest, I didn't think you looked on me as your equal.
Excuse me? What's that, Moisey?
Well, what you just said about me being a giant of football and sharing my ingenious thoughts and that.
Moisey, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about the real boss.
What?
Talk to him.
Sorry?
Hi, David. It's Alex Ferguson here.
Oh, boss, what are you doing there?
Well, we needed somebody to service the wine, so I immediately thought of you. I told him to call you.
Boss, this is not John. This wasn't a part of the agreement. Look, your shadow is big enough without you sitting in the stands glaring at me and hanging out with opposition managers after the matches.
Now, David, don't get lippy. Now, you lost another game yet again.
Yes.
But Jose has kindly agreed to give you some much-needed advice, all right, son?
Oh, great.
In the form of a song.
F*** off. Not again. I'm not listening to this. Oh, Jesus.
Dear me, Moisey, it's sad to see the champs brought to the knees.
Ridiculous.
To Stamford Bridge you came and lost the game. It was so easy.
This is worse abuse than I'm getting from the fans.
I think it's time to say you can't win away. I'm sorry, but this is true.
God.
Why don't you confess United are a mess? Should have stayed at Toffee Blue.
Why am I listening to this?
David Moyes is wrecking football. The writing is on the wall. It's time to hit the road, 'cause the fans cry out for Fergie. Please come home, Fergie. Hey, Jose, I never left, but I give it.
What the hell?
You're now in seventh heaven, Moisey.
You Jose, you out here, buddy.
Going nowhere, my friends. See you later, Moisey. Love you, baby.
All right.
Wow.
There you have it. I want to thank.
You never over the years created jingles like
I
this.
just, I don't have the
You're like
creative.
that comedian. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know. By the way, Terry Fahey did that wonderful piece, and you can find him his Twitter. I'll put it up for you. It's at Terry Fahey. You should follow him. And I did want to mention that that was originally airing on FM 104 in Dublin. What's that?
And it was airing on Monday.
Yeah, on Monday.
I think the thing that's funny about it was airing on Monday, right?
Yeah.
But the two today had very indirect.
Yeah.
Had a very indirect connection.
That's a great point.
Today, obviously, the big story of the day before that brilliant finale in the Capital One Cup final was obviously, it seems as if Chelsea has accepted a £37 million bid for Juan Mata. He would be the fourth most expensive player in British football history. And for you, Nick, you don't think this is necessary? I don't know. Let me just shut up and let the host do his thing. What do you think?
I mean, look, your opinion's as valid as mine. In fact, oftentimes more valid.
But I'm kind of My Little Pony.
I tend to get clouded by by the red mist that comes down whenever I think about Man United. But look, I think Juan Mata is a terrific player. I think he will fit beautifully into the Man United system. I think they need that creative attacking midfield. I think that's right up their alley. He likes to play wide, which is beautiful for them too. I mean, I think all of these things are really good. Unfortunately, Juan Mata is not by himself enough to turn this ship around. Did you ever see that movie Logan's Run?
I missed that one. No.
It's a great film from this late 60s, early 70s. And it's a futuristic society. And when you turn 30, you have to go into this special area where you become renewed, where you renew. And in fact, what happens is you get killed and, basically. So
I'm done at this point.
Right. So what happens is, so many of those players on Manchester United need to go to get renewed.
What's called Logan's Run.
Logan's Run, right. Jenny Agutter was in that, by the way. She was wicked.
Well, the thing that bothered you, at least when we spoke in our pre-show meeting, is that, and furthermore, that why will United not sell any player to any club, but everyone will...
Everyone will
jump
sell to
in
them.
and sell to them.
That's right, Danny. I mean, Arsene Wenger sold Robin van Persie to Man United. Man United absolutely said under no terms would they ever sell a player back. They refused to sell. They refused to discuss Wayne Rooney to Arsenal. They refused to discuss Wayne Rooney to Chelsea. Yet here they are buying Juan Mata from Chelsea. I mean, there's a double standard, and sometimes I scratch my head why teams deal with them on this basis if that's in fact how they operate, which is it is. Look, to their credit, it's a good signing. It can do nothing but improve them.
There is a double standard, but at the same time, £37 million for someone not in your first team.
Oh, come on. He's not in the first team because he's not the profile of a Mourinho player. He's too slight. He's not strong enough.
37, exactly. But Mourinho's staying there a very long time.
He is a superstar.
I don't know.
Let's not beat around the bush. I think he's a superstar
player. Is he Mesut
player.
Ozil? He's not even close.
Look, there's a big difference between Mesut Ozil coming to Arsenal and Juan Mata going to Man United. In that the team around Mesut Ozil at Arsenal is a better team than the team that is around Juan Mata right now. Look, I say what I said about Man United, Danny, and I'm not going to change. I think it is too late. It's too little too late. It will do nothing but grow the team, be nothing. It's a great basis on which to build the team. I think all of that's terrific. But the fact of the matter is, Danny, as it stands right now, it's too little, too late. They're too far back. I don't see him alone. You cannot expect a team like Man United or any team, Danny, any team, to retain the title and fight in such a competitive top 7 when they have their 2 superstars out. Let's be realistic.
Well, right? Yes. I think they're due back in some sort of, decent amount of time. That front trio with Mata possibly playing, maybe you even move Rooney further up the pitch. And you have what?
Well, speaking of which, I mean, right.
Yeah, no. Rooney obviously wants out of United. That's obviously not going to happen. They'll probably let him go on a free. in just over a year's time. But Mata feeding Van Persie and Rooney, this team can score goals. And I think Moyes realized, and Man United realized, that they needed a creative player, but they weren't going to be able to solve their defensive frailties in this window. So instead, it's the term you always use. I think you say it every show. They're papering over the cracks.
Right.
But then if you look ahead to next year and they can, spend 50, 60 million combined on a couple great central center halves, you throw in Mata, Van Persie, Rooney, you might have a
As I said,
decent club.
it's a great move for United. Is it enough? The fact that he's willing to re-sign with them, and there's a really good chance they sign with them, and there's a really good chance they're not going to make the Champions League next year. Okay, I think it's a great move.
This might change it.
No,
they're only 6 points back.
I don't think so. I think for my money, it's Spurs have the best chance of getting the Champions League right now.
Right.
Liverpool next, and then maybe United.
Right.
And let's not count out Everton. All right, when we come back on World Soccer Radio, we're going to speak to Tim Dart. We're going to Tom Dart. What Tim? I don't think I'm Tim the Enchanter. We're going to speak to Tom Dart about all of these things and more. We're going to have a little laugh. So we'll be right back after this. World Soccer Radio. Find us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio.
This one is alive.
All right, welcome back to the show. World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Nick Gebro, Danny Page with you as we are each and every weeknight from 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Sports Byline.
Man, I have plans tomorrow night too.
Well, sorry to ruin.
Instead, I get to hang out with you.
Yeah, sorry to ruin them there, Danny. But sometimes that's what happens. By the way, big hello once again to our men and women in uniform who are listening on American Forces on the Fans channel. It's a privilege to speak with you, and of course. Also to everyone listening on the affiliate stations of the Sports Byline Network or iHeartRadio or TuneIn.com or our brand new live YouTube feed.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's what I was going to get to on the Twitter account, Nick, at World Soccer Radio. A lot of people really loving the YouTube account. Obviously, that video will be archived not long after the show, within, 20 minutes, I think, something like that. So pleasure to have you live with us today. Get involved with us on Twitter, at World Soccer Radio, as you see right there on the bottom of the screen, or give us a call in studio, 800-878-PLAY. That's 800-878-PLAY.
All right.
Who
Well,
we got?
Speaking of guests, Danny, we have a very special guest with us today, joining us from somewhere in these great United States. Mr. Tom Dart joins us. Tom, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
And where are you exactly?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Ah, okay. A transplanted Houstonian.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm learning to be a Texan, learning to say y'all instead of you all, and enjoying the weather.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you have a big hat,
right?
I do have a big hat.
Yeah.
Do you have a big truck?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my garage is relatively small, so I'd be struggling to fit a truck inside it. But I would love to have a big truck.
I'm afraid that's going to exclude you from the Texan Club until you get that truck. I will send you a gun rack for it when it happens.
Nick, you live in California. It's not like you have a convertible or anything, man. Hair blowing in the wind.
I have a Chevy Volt. I am ecologically
that is pretty California.
Yeah,
I have
that's
a Prius too. All right, Tom, let's get to what happened today. I
Yeah.
mean, wasn't that just an extraordinary conclusion to the Capital One Cup?
Absolutely. This is an absolutely mesmerizing, astonishing game. Yeah, it was amazing enough that Sunderland were attacking United for pretty much the last hour and playing so well, and United on their own patch were being beaten back and looking like they were going to be lucky to get through on away goals. But then, of course, when Bardsley scores in the last minute, almost the last minute of extra time, through a blunder by De Gea, such a terrible mistake.
Oh.
And then for Chicharito to immediately down the other end equalise, and then for the penalties to be as topsy-turvy and inept as they were, which was of course just added to the drama when the players from both sides kept missing. This was just an extraordinary game.
Yeah, which is not that unusual after extra time, after a big match over the last weekend in the Premier League for both these clubs. I mean, I as I was saying in the first segment, and I'm sure you were listening, Tom, eagerly to the entire show, that, when the camera panned to Chicharito after he scored, I mean, he just looked like he was about to collapse. He could barely stay on his feet.
Yeah, well, Matt Dickinson of the London Times said on Twitter that Chicharito actually injured himself celebrating the goal. That's a bit. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but Chicharito looked exhausted pretty early on in this game. He was already, he had a one-on-one opportunity which he fluffed badly, when he looked like he was running in quicksand in the second half. So he did look tired.
Well, that's partially, I think, because he's actually playing. I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
remember him playing a few matches in a row. Tom, I think it's... sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, look, I mean, the upside is, I mean, he may have injured himself in his goal celebration, but at least he didn't do a Quinnell.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
Yeah, almost.
So Nick, you're unbelievable.
Yeah, really.
Hit us up on Twitter, by the way, at World Soccer Radio, as we continue here on the show. Tom, I think it's easy to, even a couple weeks ago, I said it was kind of ridiculous that the Capital One Cup goes with, just one-legged ties basically through every round, and then for the semifinals, they go to two legs, and they have this weird rule where, the away goals rule doesn't count until you go to the final 30 minutes. Did the formula prove itself to be, important and efficient and correct today, or are there still ways you think that maybe the way this tournament is structured is a little bit crazy?
Well, they've made revisions to it over the years. The Football League has tinkered with it, and if I remember rightly, the final used to be two legs. I think that's correct. But it got squeezed because clubs didn't want to play so many games, and this was the obvious tournament, the most minor competition that the big clubs enter. And also you started to get a rule a few years back where clubs that are in Europe could enter later. So they've tinkered with it around. I think it's pretty odd to have an away goals rule after extra time rather than after 90 minutes.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a bit weird, but I'm not going to complain because it added so much drama.
Yeah, it really
and
did.
in the end, helped Sunderland get a result which they actually deserved.
Yeah, and that is the really surprising thing here, Tom. We were talking about this in the last segment, but typically in a situation where Chicharito scores that goal right at the last minute, you sort of look and say, okay, that's it. Karma's coming their way. We're going to get the usual Man United, pull it out of the fire. But the fact that a team that is dead bottom of the table, as Sunderland are, or close to, they're dead bottom, right? Or they're second from bottom. I don't remember the table at this particular moment, but right there at the bottom of the table, feels that they can go to Old Trafford and get a result and go in. They're right. They're Crystal Palace are below them.
It's Cardiff City.
Pardon me, Cardiff City, and go there and get a result is really indicative of the changing times. Because, quite frankly, without Van Persie and without Rooney, this Man United team is creaky, old, and very, very average.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially when you have some of the younger players, Ashley Young, Nani just not performing well. But I do feel a bit sorry for David Moyes in the sense that people who have criticised United do seem to have forgotten that Rooney and especially Van Persie have been injured for much of the season.
Right.
And this United team would not have won the Premier League last season if Van Persie had missed half the year or 2/3 of the year under Alex Ferguson. So I think you can't overlook that in analysing why the team is playing so badly, because any club would miss its key goal scorers. But equally, you seem to see a bit of the old United in the way that United immediately roared back and equalised through Chicharito. Never that cliche of United never say die. They always find a way. But then, in the end, they didn't, because penalties were pretty much terrible. And you would have thought that in the shootout, it would have been Sunderland's legs who would have been really heavy, and Sunderland who would have been depressed. And it looked that way at the final whistle, because Sunderland had just given up a late equaliser. You should have been United, excited to be on penalties, relieved to be on penalties, looking forward to it, and going through. But instead, it was Sunderland who prevailed, and United's players looked incredibly nervous and kind of stressed by it, even at home.
Right.
So I think that's a mentality problem, as well as what we're talking about with the squad not being good enough.
Tom, one thing I want to talk about as we kind of transition from United's frailties today to their move in the transfer market is something that I've observed, and maybe, Nick, we can have a little more time to talk about this tomorrow. When you look at the United team, right, you look at the predominance of players on this team and the impending purchase of Juan Mata, I think it is quite strange and disappointing in United's scouting structure that most of these players were bought for inflated rates from other English clubs. I mean, really, when you go top to bottom, Van Persie, Rooney, now Mata, Antonio Valencia, Ashley Young, just, one player after another in which they didn't go to the continent and bring in, of course, they would have wanted Eden Hazard, who didn't. But look at what Chelsea did, even going to South America and getting Oscar.
Yeah.
Look at the way that Chelsea and Arsenal and Liverpool and obviously Man City have scouted the continent and brought in key players from there. United just seem unable to do that, and now here they are paying, I think, too much, maybe £7-8 million too much for Mata, who's a great player, but nonetheless a player that they didn't have to do too much to scout.
Yeah, obviously the great hope is Adnan Januzaj, who looks extremely promising. But you're right in that United are always remembered and admired for that great wave of British players in the 90s. That you could name the likes of the Nevilles and Giggs and so on, and Scholes. But there hasn't been another wave, and the players that he's tried to bring through, that Ferguson tried to bring through, just didn't pan out. And quite a few of them were playing for Sunderland today in the defence. But it's just that's not a problem unique to United, though. I think the difficulties of bringing through British players and getting them playing time, that's common to the whole Premier League.
Well, unless you're Southampton, of course.
True. But I think
owned by an Austrian,
that United are going to be smashing their transfer record to get Mata, which is a statement of intent from the Glazers, who haven't spent that much in recent years, and this is going to break the 30 million odd they paid for Berbatov back in 2008. So, considering the inflation in transfer fees and wages in the past 5 or 6 years, and United are only now going to break their transfer fee, it's a pretty interesting reflection on on their spending habits under the Glazers, and also, I think, shows a hint of desperation that they're having to bring in Mata for who is after all not in the Chelsea side, and yet Chelsea are going to end up with a profit of something like $15-20 million on him.
Well, sure. And if they'd bought Marouane Fellaini while he still was within his buyout clause, and they didn't overpay by $7 million, it wouldn't seem quite so ridiculous, would it? Or $6 million, or however much it was. Look, I think we can blame the Glazers all we want. I don't think they're at fault here. I honestly think they've done what they have to. They supported Alex Ferguson as he wanted. He won title after title with the Glazers as the owners of the team. Whether or not they could be better owners or not is a topic for another day. Look, I think the issue is that, we can't look at Arsenal and say, well, Arsene Wenger has just won't overspend on players, and that's okay. And then, Man United, 37 million is a transfer record, and that's not okay. I mean, look, they buy well, they buy cleverly. I don't mean literally, but they do what they do. But I mean, they make educated buys. They've done very well. But look, like any other era, it's time for a change. I mean, no one stays top of the pyramid forever, especially when you've got big money teams underneath. The difference, Tom, this year over last year is the strength of the opposition is much better than it was last year. So there's much less room for any error.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And as you say, it is time for change. Everything's cyclical. And I was working out the other day that 40% of the people on the planet were not born the last time Man United finished outside the top four.
Wow.
Which is just goes to show 22 years or so ago, which just goes to show how long their period of domination has been.
And Tom, as I like to say, the My Little Pony fans are absolutely gobsmacked. They don't know how to handle this. This is like, this is like John F. Kennedy dying for some people. I mean, this is an absolutely traumatic event for many, many people. But that's just the way it is. I alluded to Logan's run earlier on, where when you reach the age of 30, you have to be renewed, which is a euphemism for, killed. And it's time for Man United to go into the renewal chamber.
Yeah, and it's clear that this is going to be a process that is going to take 1, maybe 2 years. I think they will give David Moyes time to do it. The jury's out on whether he will be able to do it, but you can't just renew a team in a year or two. Chelsea, the way Chelsea struggled in a couple of years ago, Chelsea made mistakes. Chelsea bought too many attacking midfielders and fired managers left, right and centre until they got Mourinho back. So I think the lessons we have from this is that it does take a couple of years, and also you need to have the right man in charge to do it. So I think Moyes will get time. We just don't know whether he will prove to be the right man, because anything other than finishing top four would be such a disaster and such a setback to United that it would feel catastrophic.
Hey, Tom, we are sadly out of time. We have to go. We only have an hour show. We'd love to have you on again. Let's talk about what will happen if they fall outside of the top four. Tom Dart, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Really
Tom. This is World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Tom Dart, thank you so much. At Tom_Dart. We got to go to break and be right back. All right, welcome back, World Soccer Radio. Nick and Danny with you.
Yep.
I want to thank Tom Dart for coming on the show. And why don't we put up on the screen, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hope you enjoyed it. It's our very first show on YouTube Live, which is a fantastic service. Tom is at Tom_Dart.
Yeah, and I've read him over the last year for Sports Illustrated, The Guardian, NBC Sports Soccer, at Tom_Dart.
Yeah,
Great guy.
right.
And make sure you follow him, and we'll catch up with him soon on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just a programming note. What's happening tomorrow, Dan?
Brian Chiaretta will join us. He obviously broke the story about Juan Agadello's loan to Utrecht, which has been a controversial topic in England also because he's owned by Stoke, loaned out, didn't get a work permit. We're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team as they're down in Brazil. Obviously, just a little training camp so that the staff really gets to understand how the Copacabana beach works and the Brazilian waxes and all that.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
I
And
like
coffee.
And obviously, we imagine, Nick, at least I imagine tomorrow, that the Mata move will be official.
So we will continue the
we should be able to discuss that, obviously. And then Friday's our Premier League preview, man.
Yeah. So we'll continue the discussion tomorrow, same place, same time, and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Sports Byline USA or iHeartRadio or TuneIn.com or American Forces or YouTube. We're back with you each and every week.
Yeah, and if you miss any of the show, check out our archive. It'll be up in, about 15, 20 minutes. Watch WSR.com or our YouTube channel, World Soccer Radio.
It's Watch WSR, isn't that it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, YouTube.com/WatchWSR.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone in San Francisco, Scott and Jerry and Darren and everybody up there, and of course our special guest, Tom Dart. I'd like to thank the guys from FM 104 in Dublin for who played that piece initially. It was a wonderful piece that we had there. So thanks so much.
You're not going to thank me?
Danny, good job, by the way. Yes, Terry Fahey was the guy that created that piece.
Terry's
so
good.
you can check him out on YouTube at Terry J. Fahey Videos and at Twitter at Terry Fahey. All right, folks, that's going to wrap the show up. Coming up next here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, the Juan Mata of radio.
Wow.
No, shall we say
Love
the
it.
Luis Suarez of radio?
Now they're going to tune in.
Ron Barr,
Ron Barr
is coming up next right here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. So don't be a knob. Keep it tuned right here. Cheers. We'll speak to you tomorrow back 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great night.
Night, guys.
Thank you.
Hasta mañana.